Hi, my name's Phil, as you probably know. I want to welcome you to the Economics of Markets and Government, Economics 102, Fall 2020. It's going to be online because of the COVID situation, as you also know, but I'll talk to you both synchronously in online sessions and via video when you access those videos. And I do expect you to watch the videos I put up, as hard as it is to listen to my voice and look at my not movie star face. Anyway, welcome. And I think we're still going to have a lot of fun together and get to know each other, even though we're going to be intermediated through these videos and Moodle and Zoom, etc. Anyway, this is an economics course. Economics is the study of how individuals and groups, small and big, make decisions over a set of scarce resources with the objective of making themselves as well off as possible and as happy as possible, not necessarily only material well-being, but quality of the environment, how rich our friendships are, etc. You have limited time, limited resources, and how do we use them? Microeconomics is the study of how individuals make decisions, how individuals respond to incentives, how small groups do, firms, and then we will study buyers and sellers interacting in markets, and markets are heavily influenced by government. Government sets up the rules of the game. Private property rights. What are the rules governing who owns what, and what are the limits on that ownership, etc. Those are all policy decisions. And of course, then there's taxes and sometimes prohibitions on certain things. Anyway, the government policy really affects market outcomes, and we'll study how that's so, and we'll get hopefully good at evaluating government policy proposals or existing policy and be able to talk intelligently about what a good policy is and what's a bad policy. There's plenty of examples of both out there. The way we will study is through a way of learning called team-based learning, and the way that works is explained more fully in the syllabus, which you'll read between class 1 and class 2, if not before class 1. The way that works is students prep mostly through reading ahead of the first of each, before the first class day of each module. There are 6 modules, so a 12-week semester is broken up into 6 modules, roughly 2 weeks each. This semester is a little bit shorter because of COVID, so I think 12 is about right. Usually it's 14, 15 weeks. Anyway, students prep in advance, then we start off with some individual quizzes. Teams take that quiz and explain to each other why they think this answer is right and that one's wrong, etc. And they keep at it till the team gets the answer right. Then only after that do I give short explanations, usually through screencasts, although we'll do some in the synchronous portion of the online class. And then most of the class time is spent doing application exercises, which will work a little differently online. Usually I set up one, students work in groups to make a decision and gather evidence to support their decision, and then we have a class-wide conversation, and then I close the activity, and then we do the next one. Because of COVID and the social distance within the classroom, well, we're not even going to be in the classroom, but because of the COVID thing, the way we're going to do this is, and it's mainly for Zoom fatigue. You just get tired of looking at a Zoom session for 95 minutes straight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up activities at least 2 days before the class period, and I'll do that by screencast. You guys as teams will make these decisions, and you can choose as a team. You'll need to set up a time to Zoom with your teammates. I'll try to give you some time that first day. Anyway, to Zoom with your teammates about whether you want to do them asynchronously, where everybody chimes in. I'm going to have a Google Jamboard for you to collaborate on for each application exercise, keep tracking notes. Sometimes you'll be manipulating a graph, and on a Jamboard it's a shared whiteboard, so you can all say, no, I think it should be this way. No, that's wrong. Anyway, you'll be able to work together and create a record of what you do that you can then turn in to me. Anyway, you'll make a decision over the case that I'll pose you. I'll set them up, probably 2 or 3 at a time, one class worth of activities. You'll make your team decisions, gather your evidence, take notes on the Google Jamboard. You can type notes on that. You can also use a separate Google Doc that you can then paste it right into the Google Jamboard. I'd like you to take notes both on the process of coming to a decision, but more importantly, we'll wrap up each one in class, and I'll give some closing remarks and basically tell you what's going to be on the test. So you'll want to have notes, and not every student has to take those. You can take them as a group on a shared Google Doc, however, whatever works. Anyway, it's a fun way to do it. We learn a lot, and time goes by really fast because typically we're so engaged, and we really, there's interesting cases, and you'll get better and better and better over the course of the semester at thinking through economic issues. And that's really my goal for you in this course. It's not to learn a bunch of facts or to, even at this intro level, to become an ace economist. It's, in terms of being able to manipulate quantitative models, et cetera. I mean, there will be some of that for sure. But what I want you to be able to do is to be an intelligent participant in the economic conversation. And, what I mean by that is you can read an article, and it doesn't matter whether it's a New York Times article or a Wall Street Journal article. The New York Times editorial board is a little to the left, the Wall Street Journal editorial board is a little bit to the right, but I want you to be able to read an economic article and see what's fact, see where the spin is, and have your own opinion of it. All this talk about fake news in our society. Well, yeah, but mainstream journalism, whether it's the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, they're held to a high standard of fact checking, and certainly there's spin on there. But as an educated individual, you should be able to see what's the fact, what's the spin, and strip away the spin and make your own evaluation. What are the causes of the events that are being described? Sometimes they're different from what the article's author is directing your attention toward. What's going to be the effect of whatever event you're reading about, whatever legislative decision, natural event, whatever it is. Make your own prediction. You should have those tools. That's what economics is about. Somebody's suggesting we raise taxes or lower taxes or that, whatever. You should be able to argue intelligently. What's the logic of behind the proposal? What's the evidence that the proposal would work or not work as explained? You should be able to have that conversation. We aren't always going to agree. We're not going to agree all the time because my values are different than your values that are different from so-and-so's values. Everybody has their own sense of what's right and what should be done. But that sense changes as we see new facts and new events that lead us to understand the world differently. And that's part of life. That's economics. It's not a set of truths that are constant, but rather economics is a framework of analysis, how we organize information, what rules of logic would we apply. And we should be able to talk intelligently even when we don't agree, which we'll always disagree if we're thinking independently. We may be able to come to an agreement or make a political compromise, but I'm synthesizing what I take in my human experience and what I read, and you are too, and we're different, so we're going to have different takes, and that's okay. Economics gives us a way to evaluate, well, is that argument better than this argument, or does the evidence support that argument? Does it support this argument? And yeah, we argue politely and civilly with logic and evidence, not by calling people names or just banging our shoes on the table. No, we hopefully are intelligent and civil in our discussions, and I want you to be able to do that. And just for an example, I'm a little bit over time. It tends to be what I do in videos. Just you think about the stimulus check that they're arguing about at the federal level as we speak. There was a first round of $600 per week supplemental federal stimulus check. So if you were out of work, you received the usual unemployment benefits through the state, but also a $600 stimulus check. And that expired, and now they're talking about whether they should renew it or not. They're not getting very far. But that's an argument. The people that are opposing it say, no. If you give people $600 for not, when they aren't working, well, they're not going to work. They're not going to look that hard for a job, and we need them looking hard for a job. And other people say, no. It's the COVID recession. There are no jobs. If you're a restaurant worker or a retail clerk or whatever, those jobs just don't exist in COVID. And we're going to need to tide people over until we get a vaccine and we're back on track. These are empirical. Well, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. I mean, we can make a pretty good guess once they come up with a vaccine. Things are going to get back on track.